did come after him.
I'm sorry. I don't know what y'all watched, but Bill Maher. I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Good.
I'm sorry. This is like someone who talked about black people his whole life and then had dinner with one and said, actually, after I had dinner with them, they're not that bad, guys.
In this video, we turn to the Gutfeld show, where his co-host Tyrus goes in on Bill Maher. After watching a clip from his show, Tyrus refuses to praise the staunch opponent of Donald Trump for meeting with the president. With that, let's watch Tyrus expose how Bill Maher attempts to play both sides of the aisle.
Did the unspeakable. He sat down with Trump, talked to him, ate with him, praised him.
As you know, 12 days ago, I had dinner with President Trump. I never felt I had to walk on eggshells around him. And honestly, I voted for Clinton and Obama, but I would never feel comfortable talking to them the way I was able to talk with Donald Trump. He's much more self-aware than he lets on in public. I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists, because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy.
Now, I know what you're thinking. What's next? A rom-com starring Rachel Maddow and Jesse Waters? And was Trump gracious and measured?
Trump was gracious and measured, and why he isn't that in other settings, I don't know. I've had so many conversations with prominent people who are much less connected, people who don't look you in the eye. None of that with him. And he mostly steered the conversation to, what do you think about this? I know, your mind is blown, so's mine.
So how did the media react? As you'd expect. Here's Washington Post columnist Josh Rogan telling Maher to his face that he fell into a trap.
I think you've fallen into the trap. I think I represent 99% of the internet when I say this, is that you've played the game of proximity is principle.
Ah, yes, the old proximity is principle game. That's my favorite game after Stratego and Operation. Anyway, Rogan tried to follow up with some ass kissing, and Maher wasn't having it.
I think a lot of people out there, fans of yours, people who love you, people who are fans of you, like me, I've been fans of you.
You don't
my
have
whole
to patronize
life.
me, dude. I don't know you. I never met you.
I'm just saying that this comes from
not
a place
everybody
of
has to
love.
like it.
All I'm
That's
saying
what we
is-
said. There are people who didn't want it to happen at all. You sound like one of them. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
Like, what is the alternative to not talking? Just sit at your lunch table and don't talk to anybody?
I talked to him. I've interviewed Trump.
This was not an interview.
From his perspective, you have to understand that people out there know, all Americans know, that for him, this was a PR stunt. And in his view, you were a prop in that PR stunt.
Okay, so it was a PR stunt? So what if it was? Haven't we gotten used to the presidency as an endless series of PR stunts? Obama and Biden didn't do public relations. And here I thought Trump was a unique threat, unlike any other. Maher and Josh Rogan are proving the point that in many
I don't typically make predictions, but when Bill Maher was going to have that dinner with Donald Trump, there was very little question in my mind that Bill Maher would come out having nice things to say about Trump. And I completely acknowledge I could just be naive, but people from every walk of life, every skin color, every race, many times people you wouldn't expect, they think something about Trump and then they meet him, and then afterwards, even if they still don't agree with his politics, they have to acknowledge, I like that guy. That's the impression I've gotten from Trump for a long time because of hearing people talk about him. And I've met a very powerful person in my life that is like that, a real polarizing figure that some people hate and some people love. Anyone who has met the guy has to kind of shake their head and be like, he's pretty charming. And a lot of the things I've felt about that guy are kind of how I envision Trump. And Bill Maher just kind of affirmed those for me. You know, he said he kept steering the conversation to what do I think? That's just a great conversationalist. Everyone likes to talk about themselves, but there's two parts to it. You can't just say, oh, what do you think? And be a good conversationalist. It has to be evident that you're actually listening and being thoughtful about what the person is saying and responding to them in ways that acknowledge, hey, I am really listening to you. And I believe that about the president. I mean, that's crazy that Bill Maher, you know, a darling of the Democrat Party, says that he felt completely at ease not to walk on eggshells with Trump, and that he's met Democrats that were presidents and he didn't feel comfortable talking to them as freely as he did with Donald Trump. I think it gives us a good insight into Trump. And again, please call me naive. Maybe Trump knew that from some folks he'd get some gravitas out of this, but I genuinely believe when Kid Rock, his friend, says to him, "Hey, why don't you meet Bill Maher? You guys would get along, you know, you don't agree." And Donald Trump was like, "Okay, yeah." I really think he was just like, "Yeah, let's meet. That would be a good thing." I don't think it was as much of a PR stunt as the left wants to believe it to be. And how funny is it that moron on Bill Maher's show was like, "I think I'm speaking for 99% of the internet here." I don't know what internet you're looking at, but I promise you're not, you fucking douchebag. Anyway, back to the video.
Anyways, Trump is like other presidents, except I don't know any other president who would do this.
I had my staff collect and print out this list of almost 60 different insulting epithets that the president has said about me. Things like stupid, dummy, lowlife dummy, sleazebag, sick, sad, stone cold crazy. Really a dumb guy, fired like a dog, his show is dead. I brought this to the White House because I wanted him to sign it, which he did. With good humor. And I know as I say that, millions of liberal sphincters just tightened.
So there you have it. Liberals are upset because the world is finding out that Trump is unpredictable and hilarious, but he's also presidential, or what he himself likes to describe as modern presidential. And as Maher admits, he's human. But that's the problem, isn't it? Because according to the Church of Perpetual Outrage, you must never humanize the enemy. And once you realize that almost everything you've been told about Trump is a lie, you start asking yourself questions like, what else have I been misled about? Remember, the media needs Trump to be the boogeyman, the evil, incoherent, wild-haired threat to democracy itself. Because if he's not that, if he's just a guy with a knack for plain speaking and trolling, well, then you can't scare voters with him anymore. But here's the good news. People are tired of the fear factory, tired of being told who they can talk to, who they can laugh at, who they can share a meal with. It's one of the reasons Trump won. And thanks to Trump for calling out media lies.
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
Come after me. And of course, they did come after him.
I'm sorry. I don't know what y'all watched, but Bill Maher. I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Good.
I'm sorry. This is like someone who talked about black people his whole life and then had dinner with one and said, "Actually, after I had dinner with them, they're not that bad, guys." No, you don't get to do that, you coward. You went on a show and you tried to play both sides of the street.
That's right.
Why? So maybe he could do your show because the 300,000 people that watch it, if we had those numbers here, I wouldn't be here. These dudes make me laugh. Cowards die 1,000 deaths. You said things about President Trump nonstop. You had no reference point. That's all you proved to me. You sit down with a man, you break bread with a man, then you come and say, "Well, on this night, he was okay, but don't be mad at me." Splitting hairs. Man up. I don't know what this whole thing, everyone keeps acting like they need Bill Maher. The little guy who doesn't lift weights, 99% of the internet, what, MySpace? Come on, this dude represents nobody. A PR stunt for who? I'm sorry, I missed the Oval Office Rose Garden meeting where President Trump was talking about Bill Maher was there.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
Yeah.
He's talking about it. President's not talking about it. He doesn't need Bill Maher. He's got 70% of the country cheering him on. He walked into UFC. The place was crazy.
I'm kind of embarrassed to say while I don't agree with about 90% of the stuff Bill Maher says, I really actually did enjoy hearing about his experience with Donald Trump. And a lot of people are going to probably clown me for saying this, but I think personally, one-on-one, Bill Maher would be an all right guy. I like how he gets along with, like I said, Kid Rock is just in my head right now, but they could not be more different politically. But you saw like genuine, just guys having fun conversation when Kid Rock's been on his show and other conservatives as well. I mean, even Matt Gaetz and him had a good conversation, you know? But I acknowledge maybe that's kind of naive of me. Maybe it's lulling me into a false sense of security about what Bill Maher's agenda is. So I completely understand, because I know a lot of you feel like Tyrus does. I completely understand why. Why would you forgive someone? Why would you suddenly be like, I like this guy now? That's just been slamming Donald Trump endlessly for years. And if you're like us, we all believe that Donald Trump is a big part of getting this country back on track and headed in a good direction. So to take it even further, it's like, hey, this guy's had a huge platform. All he's done is trash Trump. So not only has he done that, but he's literally been fighting against the best interests of the American people. So anybody that feels that way, I get it, man. Anyway, let's wrap the video.
Then why did he accept dinner with him if he didn't?
Because he's like everybody else.
No, why did Trump?
Because that's who Trump is. He will break bread with anyone. He will sit with Kim Jong-un and break bread. So little punk ass Bill Maher coming to the house and sitting in the and what did Trump did? He was gracious. He treated him. Everything. He had to leave and come back and go, he wasn't any of the things I said, because you were part of the machine. You were part of the thing. He wasn't as bad as Joe and Micah was, where he's sharp as a tack, but he led the charge. He continued to say things that weren't true. He supported things without ever bothering to say, hey, you know what? I want to sit down. And when I have a problem with someone, if I had a problem with Johnny and me and him had a problem, I'd be like, we need to sit down and talk before I would go out on social media and talk about him. But he needs President Trump.
And I'd say, let me have
needs
a
the
weapon
audience.
first.
Yes, yeah. Well, you know. But at this point, to coin one of the greatest, funniest phrases in all of comedy, I would ask Bill Maher to step in my office, and he would say, why? Because he's fired. There it is.
I love the nod to Harlan Williams, who's sitting next to him, who, if you don't know, was in a movie called Something About Mary. And in that movie, he says the line, step into my office. Someone goes, why? Because you're effing fired. I got to admit, that was a good conclusion to his comments there. But we want to hear from you. What did you guys think about Tyrus's comments about Bill Maher? And what did you think about Bill Maher visiting the president? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you in the next one.